It's obvious the cost of Raleigh has been increasing in the past couple of years, so if you still have a desire to be in the area or maybe to live in it, then this video is for you. I'll be sharing with you different areas that I think that you guys should keep on your radar to help you get to this area. Now, if you're new to me and this YouTube channel, we're going to talk about everything you need to know about Raleigh, North Carolina, so make sure to subscribe and hit the bell so you don't miss out on anything. But also, I am a licensed realtor here, so if you're looking to relocate here, just reach out. And just to give you insight of what is it that I'm even calculating, I'm strictly looking at the real estate, so the home sales price. That's particularly what I'm looking at to see which area is the most affordable in this area. And to kick things off, the first one is Garner, sitting at a whopping $374,000 as of course, December of 2023. And this area, if you don't know already, this is one of those areas that I do love, personally speaking, for what it provides. I love it for several different reasons. One of the big reasons is the proximity it is to the city, to the different suburbs, to the downtown living, the downtown life, right? So you have that. Although, I will say Garner isn't a place where I think you can do a lot in, right? You have, of course, your day-to-day, your necessities, the necessities that you need, the essentials, but it's not so much of what your Raleigh, Cary, Wake Forest, Apex, Morrisville is going to really provide you to do an array of different things, right? So that's one thing that I definitely think you should definitely consider. But let's go ahead and take a look to see what more does Garner provide, so you guys can take a look and understand for yourself. So if we take a look here, as I mentioned, $374,000. I'll move my guy really quickly just so you guys can see. Sales price for $374,000. That's what Garner is really going to provide you in the meantime. But I really wanted to take you guys here to be able to show you guys, just really what's going on there with the demographics and everything and so on and so forth, to see if this is something that does fit you. So you can see the population is only 30K, right, in comparison to Wake County being 1.11 million. So you can see that for what it is. Don't want to spend too much time on that, and you can also get a feel of the type of individual that lives there. So not only how large, but who are these individuals that live there primarily. And this is just going to show you based off of their graduate, their diploma, what they have for schooling, and all of this is really pulled from, as you can see here, the U.S. Census. So as you may know or may not know, some of this information is going to be heavily delayed because the census is just, in my opinion, they're just delayed when it comes to information being provided. So now you can take a look to see about the kiddos, right? So where are the kiddos really? So you can see it's a bunch of toddlers there, and then it kind of just decreases over time. And you can even see the age. So this is the report that I wanted to provide to you guys so that you guys could really see it and understand the type of individual that lives there. Because I think it's important. If you're looking at it, look, for you guys that are very, very political, there you go too. And so for those individuals that really want to know that information, there you go. You can have it there for you. And this just gives you a little bit more about the individual that lives there in terms of their income. And so that's really all I want to show you when it comes to the demographics. I really also want to share with you, as I mentioned, Garner being really close to downtown Raleigh living. You have the Cary, you have the Apex area right here. So Garner does at least extend a little bit further down here. So of course, if you start to go deeper into Garner, then of course your commute time is going to be a little bit longer. But that's the first one on the list. Let's go ahead and go to the next one. Now we have Knightdale, which is sitting at $364,000 as the median sales price. And what does Knightdale really give to you as a feel, or even what is there to really do? So this is so much of in my opinion, a small town feel, as well as Garner. One thing that I could definitely mention is that a lot of the areas that we will cover will be kind of outside of that or close to that 540 interstate line. So you definitely want to keep that in mind. So it's not going to be anything where it's a lot going to be happening or a lot going on, except one place that I think I covered. That's probably going to be the closest to Raleigh. So you're going to want to stay tuned for that. But your Knightdale is going to really have that small town feel, in my personal opinion. You have a few things to do here and there, but again, you'll still find yourself traveling into Raleigh or into different suburbs to get a different feel. And not to say that Knightdale doesn't have anything. Of course, if you want to do things on a family scale, there's definitely going to be things to do, because North Carolina does a really great job at providing you things to do outdoors. But of course, that time where you can't, where it gets cold or whatever, the weather isn't where it needs to be, you'll have some things that you can do indoors, but it's just not as much. That's one thing I would definitely share. But again, let's go take a look at the demographics so you guys can kind of get a feel of the type of individual that lives there, to see if it's somewhere that you should keep on your radar. Starting on this screen again, you can see 364. I rounded up, makes more sense. I mean, if you want to be real specific, then there's the number for you. But let's go take a look at the neighborhood report, which is going to share with me, like I kind of just mentioned, the demographics, so you guys can understand the type of individual. So this is about 18,000 of the population, so a little less than Garner. As I mentioned, small town feel. Don't expect too much being in that Knightdale area. And you can kind of get a feel of the type of individual in terms of their schooling, educational level, where they're at. And then we have, of course, the kiddos. Here in Garner, if it was more toddlers, here you can kind of see it's more middle school. So this may be a good place, right? If I don't know what the schooling like is for middle school in terms of sports, but if you have any kiddos that is really into sports, maybe you keep this Knightdale area on your radar, because you know, if they have a heavy presence in middle school, there could be something going on there. I just don't quite have the answer. And so you can take a look at the adults, age, and the income brackets. Oh look, income brackets come up here too as well, so that's cool. And for all you guys that love politics, there you go. You can see where one weighs more than the next. And if you want to get specific in terms of income, there you have it. But let's go see how far Knightdale is to the Raleigh area. And you can see 20 minutes. So everything is still going to be close by. You're not going to be, 10 to 15 minutes. I think those days and times are over with, unless if you have the income in the capital to go inside of this area here. Then of course, you could look at you could be spending a little bit more. But for the most part, if you're looking for that most affordable area, you're gonna have to kind of spread your wings a little bit and go further out. And if you have any questions about those two areas that we just discussed, the number that you do see popping up right there, make sure to give me a call, shoot me a text, email, day or night, heck, maybe even on the weekends. Always remember one thing: I got your back in this market. And whatever question you have, let's talk about it, and let's see if we can get you the answer that you're looking for. However, moving on, let's go talk about Wendell, which is sitting at $377,000 in terms of the median sales price. Now this is an area where, how can I put it? A lot of development going on there, right? Not too big of a downtown feel. If anything, this is probably one of the smallest. Probably the next one will be the smallest, but this is one of them where you're gonna go there to just literally, I think, occupy your home for the most part. Of course, there are going to be some things to do, but it's just the further out you go, the less and less there is to do. And when I say further out you go, further out from Raleigh, which of course I'll be able to show you guys, you can kind of see. So keep that in mind. The further out you go, the less and less there is to do. So if you're an active person, you like to be out and about and do certain things, then of course you want to stay closer to downtown Raleigh, or at least closer to Raleigh, that 540 interstate beltline, or even closer, right? Then you're going to be in that sweet spot. But Wendell, I don't really have too much to say because there isn't that much to do. No disrespect to the area, right? This is all just sharing with my interpretation, my opinion is of the area. But with all that being said, let's go take a look at the demographics so you guys can see the type of individual that does live there. So starting back here again, for anybody that wants to fact check me, 377. And let's make sure we're still good. So median sales price, 377. You could get real specific if you like to, if you're a numbers person, but that just is going to share with you exactly what the median sales price, which is exactly what we're using in this entire list to determine, what area is the most affordable, is that right there. We're not using pretty much the day-to-day living. We're just using real estate because I have the information to share with you guys, so why not, right? But let's go look at the demographics here, and you can see 9,000 people are occupying this area. Now, of course, again, as a disclaimer, this is probably 2 years old, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. All right, because we're pulling information from the census. Census does things late, so keep that in mind. But 9,000, I believe, if I remember correctly, Garner was 30, and then we had Knightdale at about 18. So this is half of Knightdale. And again, the further and further out you go, the less and less dense, of course, the population, less and less things there are to do. So that's something that you should definitely keep in mind. But here's everyone's educational level, which I'm not going to speak on too much. Here's a heavily area for toddlers. Knightdale was middle school, and Garner was toddler. So something to keep in mind. Seems like a lot of people in that North Carolina area. I should say North Carolina. That Raleigh area is that 35 to 54 so far. Everything has really hit the charts on that one. And then you have your income brackets, and if you want to get specific with the income brackets, but just before doing that, there's for all the politicians. But let's go to the income brackets, and you guys can see that. And there you have it. I mean, I'll go show you guys on the map where Wendell really is, so that you guys can see the distance between. So of course we just spoke about Knightdale. Garner was here, and you can see Wendell's right there for you, and you're sitting at about 25 minutes. Now this is not considering traffic. As you can see, this is a straight blue line. There's no traffic, no nothing. So definitely it all depends on where you're looking and on what day you're looking, that your commute time is going to change. But with all that being said, let's go ahead and move on to the next one. Another small area, Zebulon, which is sitting at about 381,000 for the median sales price, of course. Now, what is it that I feel? What is it to really do? This is very similar to that Wendell area that we just spoke about, where not going to have too much. Yes, of course, you're going to have your downtown area, but this is probably just going to be one long strip of just stores, restaurants, and there's probably going to be family owned for the most part, right? You're not going to have any major corporations for the most part, because most of them will be closer to that Raleigh area. However, Wendell and Zebulon are two of those places I just don't spend that much time in, because I don't have a need to go there just quite yet, right? There isn't that much that maybe satisfy my needs. If I am in that area, 9 times out of 10, I'm checking out new construction. I'll just tell you that. But I just don't go there off of the leisure of saying, hey, I want to go to Zebulon or Wendell today for whatever reason. If I'm in the area, sure, but I don't ever put on my calendar, I must go to Zebulon today just because. So something to keep in mind, right? But let's go ahead and check out, of course, the demographics to see what type of individual is there. But first, let's go ahead and check out to see the median sales price, just so you guys know. I am not kidding you when I say 381. I rounded up, but here's the exact numbers. But like I mentioned, let's go check out the demographics so we can see. It's much smaller, right? You can kind of see it gets smaller in terms of population, density, size, and just how many people are there as the further out you go. Just kind of getting that in the back of your mind, so you can kind of see if you want small town feel, population is going to tell you that right off the back. Here's the education level of everyone. It's this one. Okay, that's less than 9. And if we move on, we can see this is elementary. So this is the first time we're seeing elementary beat everything. Most times it was toddlers and middle school. We haven't seen anything for high schools just yet. And of course, 35, 54 being where most of the individuals for each area. And then income. Now this is one thing I didn't really track as we went through it, which would have been pretty cool to know. And you guys know what that means. And then we have your income, which everything kind of states what it is. All right, definitely take your pauses, understand exactly what is what. Let's go see how far it is. So you're looking at about 25 minutes as well, which if we just took a look at Wendell was 25 minutes as well. So you can kind of see they're close, relatively close together. Probably get the same type of feel. Price point is maybe a little different. I mean, based off of what we saw, it is different. Not by much, right? Wendell was 377 and Zebulon was 381. So not by much, but depending on what you find there, right? That's what's going to really determine if this is a good fit for you or not. But if there's an area that I did not cover in this video and you're just curious about, you want more information about it, you see that number that is popping up right there, make sure to give me a call, shoot me a text, email. day or night, heck, maybe even on the weekends. Always remember one thing: I got your back in this market. But let's go ahead and touch on the last one, the one that is the most closest to Raleigh. This one caught me off guard, I will be honest with you. And it is Morrisville, which is actually sitting at 463,000. Me personally speaking, I think there's something that went wrong with the data here. I don't know where, I don't know how is Morrisville sitting at that price point, which could be a good thing, right? If I'm that shocked, that says a lot about the area in itself and just how it's very desirable, right? A lot of people, Apex, Cary, Morrisville are the three names I always constantly hear first things that anyone ever says to me. So the fact that Morrisville made this list, I tried to find where it went wrong, I just couldn't find it. So I had no choice but to put it on the list. And of course, I'll be able to share with you guys other areas as well, so you guys can kind of see and compare and contrast. But this was the next one up. I didn't know how it made it. I don't know. But of course, if you guys don't know what Morrisville is or the type of feel, not even what it is, but what you're going to get there by being there, not going to have too much activity, I will say. You are really close to Cary, Apex, and Raleigh. So you will have a lot to do in terms of feeding off and not having to commute a very long time. And I'll be able to share with you that as well. So this is one of those places where, you know, I'm very shocked myself that it even made the list, because again, it's one of those places that shouldn't have, in my opinion. But of course, only focusing on Wake County, I think that's exactly why it's on that list. But anywho, let's go take a look at the demographics so you guys can kind of see and get a feel of the type of individual that does live there. But first, as I mentioned, I want you guys to see what I see, all right? So I'm on median sales price and literally 463. I don't know what occurred. I just don't. But this is very eye-opening, because if I were to show you guys carrying Apex right now, you would say, what in the world? That's actually really good, right? That's what I said, at least. But we'll get to that point. Let's go ahead and check out the demographics of everyone so you guys can see. This is actually an area that has more. Garner has more than Morrisville, which is very interesting. Interesting. I just learned something new just now. And so here's the education level of everyone. And toddlers. So you can see toddlers beat everyone again. You got the 35 to 54. And wow, people making bank there. And this is close to RTP too, Research Triangle Park, which makes sense why that income bracket is so high. And you got a nice whopping 50. But let's go take a look at the distance. So as I mentioned, you'll still be close. Wow, 23 minutes. That seems a lot longer than I thought. But the beautiful part, and I think a lot of individuals like this Morrisville area, because if you're really close to the airport, if you don't like the airport, airplane flying over your home, of course this is not something you want to consider. Also, Research Triangle Park, where a lot of companies are relocating to. All right, so you have that. So not only do you have the airport, Raleigh, and Research Triangle Park all within literally maybe 20 minutes or so from you. You also have Cary, Apex that you have accessibility to. So it really puts you in a prime location to be here specifically. But that's really all of them today. I want to be able to share with you guys everything all in one. So I'll go through each and every one of them so you guys can see. This one is going to be Garner. And I'm just comparing and contrast so you guys can see it all together. If you're a visual person like myself, you're going to appreciate this. It's essentially going to give you a chart so you can see how does each and every single one compare with each other, if you weren't able to follow throughout the video in itself. Okay, I could only do these four, and then I will do Zebulon to do the last one. Which you can see, as I mentioned, Morrisville is going to have the crown over each and every one of those areas for several different reasons. But if we look at Zebulon, you can see how all of them really hover right over each other. You could get specifics right there. But let's take it a step further and let's remove all of this off of this list. And let's go see, how does it all compare to Raleigh? So you guys can see the numbers here before I remove it. And you guys can now see these areas that you probably thought you would have saw on this list that just did not make it. Why didn't they make it? And you'll see. This is a clear picture as to why it did not make it. So you can see everything is, there's nothing here less than 400. So that's that for you. I'll even give you a little bit more, right? I didn't do Fuquay-Varina. I didn't do Wake Forest. What's another one I didn't do? Roseville. And so you can see as well. You know, this Roseville one always tricks me up. I don't understand that, how Roseville is always, I think that's a data thing, to be honest with you guys. Because that's insane to me. I don't know who would pay for that, but if you do, you do. That's on you. So there you have it. You were able to see the 5 most affordable areas, as well as an addition of other areas to just compare and contrast reasons. I'm curious to know, out of those 5, which area are you considering or even want to know more information about? Let's hear it in the comments below, because just as much as I enjoy making these videos for you guys, my name is Roney Polynice and I am a licensed realtor here in North Carolina. So you see that number that is popping up right there. Make sure to give me a call, shoot me a text, email, day or night, heck, maybe even on the weekends. Always remember one thing: I got your back in this market.